Welcome back to Ion Radio. I'm Ken, and today we're going to go where no one has gone before, and we're going to do an unboxing and taking an in-depth view of the latest for Star Trek games. I have the core set for Star Trek Into the Unknown. I want to do a quick special thank you to the folks at WizKids for sending this out to John and myself here at Ion Radio. We've got a little bit in advance here, and we're going to open it up, tell you everything we can about what's in the box, and hopefully you guys can make a good informed decision on if this is a game you want to pick up. I am going to say this is one hefty box. There are 6 ships in here. We have the Enterprise D, so a Galaxy class. There is a Constellation, the Defiant, 2 Jem'Hadar attack ships, and the Jem'Hadar battleship. So we're going to take a little closer look at that. But it does contain everything you need to get involved in a full campaign and into the game itself. So this is great for 2 players and includes the rules for teaching how to get into some of the baseline rules. Now, some of these rules you're going to notice you will see from our preview kit. So if you're interested in how to play, check out the video that we released on that. And actually, this is a great opportunity to really showcase the difference in size of these 2 boxes. That's a little bit bigger. All right, so let's get this out to the table and see what's in the box. Okay, so here we've got the Star Trek Into the Unknown Federation versus Dominion core set. So let's take a look, open up, and see what is inside the box. And here we go. We've got our ships, all 6 of them. The Enterprise, the Constellation class, that looks to be the USS Hathaway. We have the Defiant, 2 of the Jem'Hadar attack ships, and our battle cruiser. We have the large, medium, and the small bases. We're going to open this up and take a closer look at all these ships. Time to get to the ships. Let's start out with the fan favorite. We have the Enterprise. It comes in 2 parts. We have the saucer section and the star drive. And these are gorgeous. I'm going to give you some better images and pictures of this later. But what I want to show is that if you take a look, we have our notch right here, and we've got an equivalent slot here on the saucer. These will friction fit together real nicely. I'm not going to push too hard, but that will stay on and give you your Enterprise D with the saucer. So I really like this. This is kind of cool. And then during the game, if you want to separate, you can. And you'll be able to maneuver around, and you've got effectively 2 ships that you're fighting. So there we have it on the stand. So an extra peg on the front to hold the saucer up. But looks pretty good. I am going to put this down for 1 second, and let me go ahead and get the Attack Wing Mini just for size comparison. So there's the one for Attack Wing. This is the one for Into the Unknown. Get that closer to the camera so you can really see the difference in size. So we definitely have a difference here between the 2 sizes, and it just infinitely more detail on Into the Unknown. Second ship that we're going to take a look at is going to be the Dominion Battlecruiser. So here she is with all her glory. This is again, really nice model, both on the top, and then if you actually flip it and take a look at the bottom, it just, again, it stands out just a little bit more. The coloring and the detail on this is outstanding. And it's huge relative to not only the Enterprise, but to its attack wing counterpart. Let me get this on a stand and I'll show you. One thing of note with the Jem'Hadar Battlecruiser, we'll note that each one of the large bases has 3 slots to mount your ship into. Jem'Hadar sits on the back 2. The Enterprise, on the other hand, is on the rear and the forward mount for the base, and the center one's left open. So clearly they have a range of options for any ship types that they want to put into the game. So here's our Jem'Hadar Battlecruiser on the stand. Let me bring the Enterprise in, so again we can see relative size. I mean, it's about the same length, but so much more intimidating because you have this extra width on the ship. And let me swap this out then again. And here it is next to its attack wing counterpart. Similar paint schema, but infinite more detail. I mean, you'd expect it, it's a bigger model, but again, just look size-wise at what you have. This looks just a little bit more intimidating. And this is one of the key features of the game, is that all the models are to scale with each other. So this is the size of the Jem'Hadar battlecruiser relative to the Enterprise D. Here is our Constellation ship. I would recommend to be a little careful pulling this out of the plastic. It's a little loose on there. I mean, it wasn't an issue, but just don't rip it out. One thing of note, again, NCC 2593. This is the USS Hathaway. This is the ship from the episode Peak Performance, I believe, where Stratagema was involved. Data was worried about being a good first officer, and Riker and Wesley were on this ship, and we saw the Ferengi attack. Anyways, this is the Constellation class. Really nice old-fashioned ship. Looks like we have extra weaponry on the bottom. Again, I love the extra detail that's on these models. But again, most likely because this is going to be a bigger size model than the attack wing one. Let me show you how much bigger this is than the attack wing model. Well, there we go. We have the Hathaway and a mini-me version of it. This is barely the size of the saucer. I'm going to try and show that to you guys here. But again, small on the attack wing side. This is the correct scale relative to the Enterprise D. So again, gorgeous model. Tons of detail on here. And it looks to make an excellent medium-sized ship. One thing that's interesting is that this ship mounts from the center, but pretty much the hind side of the saucer for a medium base. The remaining ships that we have are the two Jem'Hadar fighters and the Defiant. I already showed you these in the preview kit, but again, just for those of you that have not seen our video on that, here's our scale to the attack wing miniatures. And as you can see, the attack wing ones are actually bigger in this case than the actual models. So closer in scale relatively, but still a lot bigger. The detail, though, on these ships, let me move these out of the way, is again extraordinary. And if you take a close look, you can actually make out the USS Defiant on the hull. This does look nicer than the preview kit. So here you are. These are all the ships that come included in the core set for Star Trek Into the Unknown. Again, we have the Galaxy, the Constellation, the Defiant class, the Jem'Hadar battlecruiser, and the two fighters. We have a whole assortment of additional components here in the box. So we have a group of our smaller cards. This looks to be our crew, damage, and different devices. We're going to take a closer look at these. Let's take a look at the smaller sized cards. There is a significant amount of them. Everything from devices, torpedoes, and some of these are upside down. This is how they came out of the box. Hardware, titles for ships, and then we have our crew. We're going to go through all these in a minute, and our damage decks. So I'm going to split these up, and let's take a look at each one in turn. Starting out, we have a personnel transponders, a quantum torpedo reload, escape pods, a runabout berth, and this is labeled as hardware, a Class 1 probe. Titles were indicated to us when we did our developer interview with Max Brook and Michael Gurnis. So here we go. We get an opportunity to see them. So the first one is the USS Defiant. It is a reaction. So after this ship is declared as the target of an attack, commit a readied officer at this station, and it looks to be the helm station, to increase its evasion by 1 until the end of that action. You'll note that the title for the Defiant does specify it must be Defiant class escort only. USS Hathaway, On the captain's chair, also a reaction. After a torpedo ends its move at 2 inches of the ship, reduce the ship's reserve power dial to 0 to engage warp up to 3. This is akin to that maneuver in Peak Performance where all the energy was pretty much sucked out of the ship, and you got that view where you got 2 Hathaways for a moment. And the Hathaway title is for a Constellation class starship only. And we have the USS Enterprise D title for a Galaxy class starship. Fortunately, one comes in the core set. And at the captain's chair, you can do a hail action. After an opponent answers your hail, this ship and the unit it hails each add 1 advantage token. Covering the crew cards next, I'm going to show the artwork, which is it's thoroughly impressive. When I first saw the game cards, I thought these were photographs, and they're not. It's all art. You can see it in some of them, but again, very difficult to tell.
I'm going to go ahead and showcase all the cards for the officers on both the Federation and Dominion sides. Let's take a look.
Our ship displays, everything one per ship. So this will include everything from where you're going to have your officers placed, ship stats, damage, alert levels, and everything else. So I'm going to apologize in advance. I believe these are called ship displays. Just because I'm an old-time gamer, will constantly be calling these SSDs. All right, we're going to start out with the Galaxy class starship. So it's listed as a large base ship. Our normal set of stations on the bridge: captain's chair, helm, instruments, tactical, med bay, cargo and engineering, rolling out the rest of it. In fact, I believe this is the same on every single SSD. A few things we're going to notice here. We have our alerts. We have 2 green alerts, 3 yellow alerts, and we have 2 red alert stations. Crew starts with 433 for command, ops, and science. We have 1 evasion, 3 resilience, and a warp factor of 9. Galaxy class will start with 8 reserve energy and has 8 hull points to it. We're not going to go into extreme detail on the SSDs at this time, but we will in future videos. Moving on to the Constellation class starship, another Federation ship. We're looking at a medium-sized support ship. We have 2 green alerts, 2 yellow alerts, and 2 red alerts on the alert dial. Starting power of 7 hull points. Crew starts at 334. Again, evasion of 1, resilience of 2, and warp factor of 9. So a fast ship, to be sure. Moving on, we have the Defiant class escort. This is a small-based scout ship. We have 2 green alerts, 1 yellow, and 2 reds on the alert dial. Start with 6 reserve energy, 6 hull points, crew of 342. One thing I did notice, because we've seen the Defiant class SSD in the preview kit, is that the dials here are aligned much better. And they're not as flimsy and loose as the preview kit. So again, increase in quality. The cardboard feels a little bit heavier. So WizKids did an outstanding job in getting all these components ready for Into the Unknown's core set. One final thing on the Defiant, we have evasion of 2, resilience of 4, and a warp drive of 9. The Jem'Hadar battlecruiser is our large-based ship for the Dominion forces. Over here on the alert dial, we have 2 green alerts, 2 yellow alerts, and 2 red alerts. 8 initial reserve power, 8 damage, and crew stats of 443. Evasion of 1, resilience of 3, and a warp factor of 9. Here's something I specifically want to call out when looking at the differences between the Federation and Dominion ships. Take a look at the captain's chair. You can do, and these are similar to, I guess, Hales, where you can address, use some diplomacy, versus here where you're threatening. So the language on the cards themselves is really good, and again falls into that theme for Star Trek and the factions that we're currently looking at. And finally, we have the Jem'Hadar small scout fighter. Again, 2 green alerts, 1 yellow, and 2 reds. Reserve power of 6, hull of 5. And this is interesting. This is the first time that this number differs on any of the other ships. Crew stats starting at 3, 4, and 2. Evasion of 2, resilience of 2. This is our first ship at a warp factor of only 8. We have some plastic components. These are the stands, and this is the maneuver dial. This has the correct number of slots at 30 degrees as opposed to preview kit, which has 45. So this will be really good to take a closer look at. And of course, we've got a bunch of dice, a little bit more than we got in the preview kit. So between the two, John and I should have plenty of dice to be able to roll for everything we need. So when you take a look at the 2 maneuver tools, this is the one that was in the preview kit. This is the one that's in the core set. You can see the difference in terms of the maneuvering lines. This is correct. I'm also going to sit there and say that when I take a look at both of these, the new one is a little bit more polished. It just feels nicer in my hand versus this one. So definitely kudos to the guys at WizKids. They've improved upon what they have. Next item in the box, a slightly larger set of cards. These look to be the fleet directive cards, stuff for the runabout, and there's going to be more in there, likely the torpedoes, and we'll see what else comes in it. So let's take a look at these. This group is the Fleet Directive cards for the Federation. What I kind of like about these is the naming convention that they come in peace, but we're going to explore strange new worlds and seek out new life and civilizations. These cards are specific to how the game is played in terms of what you can do, additional actions when you're calm, and on the reverse side is when you are hostile to the whether you're under attack or you have to do more of a proportionate response to the situation. The Dominion has a similar set of cards, clearly spreading the founder's influence and taking their tactful approach testing local powers. Also with these, the hostile side, again allowing them to gain additional victory points, whether it's through destroying ships or hailing, etc. So, case in point, if a large capital ship was destroyed, score extra victory points. This next series of cards I'm going to go through relatively quickly, mostly just to showcase what they currently are, and we'll get into more details as we go through the campaign and some of the extra missions here on the channel. This is an example of one of the neutral units, an inscrutable entity. This clearly is Tin Man. Another neutral entity, slightly different stats. This one is listed as a hostile raider, again another neutral unit. We have a couple different cards. These look to be for away teams. This is the security team on this side, and on the opposite side we have a survey team, a diplomatic envoy, as well as a Jem'Hadar assault team, a damage control team, security team, an engineering team. Just like in the preview kit, we have a card specific to how quantum torpedoes are used, as well as photon torpedoes. Cards for a Class 1 probe, escape pods, our influence tracker card. There are two sides to it. A Type 6 shuttle. We have a Danube class runabout card. These look to be the situation cards. Ooh, we've got the saucer and star drive section of the galaxy in here, but this will be for the independent missions, so our complications, our situations, and our scenarios will be in here. We'll take a close look at these as well. Of course, we have our rulers, system markers, the center of the system in here, all nicely wrapped up, and a whole bunch of the little plastic holders for dials. Our rule books look to be next. So we have the Into the Unknown rule book. This looks to be very, very similar, if not the same, to what we already have seen online. But it is nice to hold this in my hands. This does look very much like the rules that we've all seen, but that's okay. You will have that comes with the game and the campaign guide. So I'm not going to go through this in full detail during this unboxing. However, I will take an opportunity to go through this on a separate video. The last item that we have in here looks to be the token board. And this, we got one popped out. This will be all the tokens that you need: damage status, neutral units, runabouts. This is a lot more than was in the preview kit. I am really excited to open this up, dig through all that this game has to offer. And of course, at the very bottom, we have our silica gel. Toss it, folks, don't eat it. Okay, Into the Unknown, as you can see, I did not put everything back into the box yet because there's a lot in there. I am really excited to see how the game plays out. Having gone through the preview kit, John and I have already filmed some episodes with that. We're already intrigued with the gameplay and wanted to see what more could come out from the core set. So with the addition of characters, the devices, the campaign mechanisms, I've already thumbed through it. It's going to require a little bit more reading, and I'm really interested to get into the details of building up the campaign and everything else so that we can start filming that right away. The models are just incredible. I love the way they look. I love the way they feel, and it's one of those things that once you have it in your hands, that's when you get a better idea of how quality built these models really are. So definitely props to WizKids. These are incredible, especially when you compare them to the Attack Wing stuff. It's a whole nother level of miniature model. Now, once again, if you have already gone through the preview kit and you have that whole rule book, and I've got it somewhere, but anyways, if you've gone through the preview kit and you have kind of learned how to play, you're ready to jump into the first mission from the core set. So get right into the campaign and start playing. If you haven't, go through that initial rule book. It'll walk you step by step on how to play, kind of effectively go through a full turn of this is the way to go about it, and then move you into turn 2. You kind of go from there. You're going to go back and forth with the book a little bit, understanding how you want to play and get some of the rules into the game. It is definitely not as easy as spin the dial and move your ship and then roll dice to shoot. There's a lot more going on in this game, but my personal opinion is I think anyone that enjoys Star Trek, if you're looking for kind of a narrative experience where the officers matter, you're going to find that here. So you are going to, the officers you have are definitely going to be the key component to the game, and how you utilize them and get them ready for actions for follow-up turns. That's really kind of the meat and potatoes of this game. At least that's how it looks like so far. Once we get into the campaign, and I know just, again, thumbing through the campaign guide, that there are ways to have your officers that are not actively playing in the mission to do stuff that impacts your fleet. So I'm really excited to tear that apart and get into it and then tell you guys all about it. So one of the questions I know a lot of people have been asking once they found out we had the core set, how quickly are we going to have some content out for Star Trek Into the Unknown? Stay tuned. We have a whole bunch of shorts that are going to be coming up that'll go over some of the ships, that'll go over maybe some of the cards and characters, and then we are going to start filming our first series of battle reports from the core set probably within the next 2 weeks. We are going to need a week or so to kind of go through the campaign, understand how that works, and make sure that we've got those rules down pat, and then we're going to start releasing those videos. Once again, a lot of great stuff in this box. I'm really excited to dig into it. I know John is also. So if you enjoyed this unboxing and are very interested to see more about Ion Radio and what we're going to bring for you with Star Trek Into the Unknown content, don't forget to like the video. It helps us out. Subscribe to the channel so that you can be alerted when new videos drop. Until next time, I'm Ken, and you've been watching Ion Radio.